Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're here with me, Pete, and along with me I have Ben.
Hello.
And Eddie.
Hello.
And that's it for tonight. We've lost Kirk,
Woo!
sadly. Yeah, I know. We do suspect that it's entirely down to how we've treated him in his mind. But no, sadly we don't have Kirk with us tonight for reasons he didn't want to disclose. So we're carrying on without him.
So it could be that he's just he's making a stand here.
It could. Yeah, this is his resistance to us.
I'm sure he'll be back next week, though.
I'm sure. Do you think it was the show last week that put him off? I don't know.
I don't think that's the straw that would break the camel's back. I don't think it was, anyway.
No, 2 shows in a week wouldn't throw him off. Come on.
Maybe.
We all know
wasn't
with
bad.
Kirk, if he was pissed off, he'd fucking tell us. And he would tell us loud and proud in front of 1 million people.
Well, you mean on Twitter, yeah.
On Twitter, yeah.
Yes. Hide behind Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that we did have 2 shows last week, didn't we?
We did.
We were on the Mr. Boomstick XL double barrel gaming show, which was on YouTube on Wednesday. So if anybody came to watch live, fantastic. Thank you very much. If not, you can catch it on his YouTube channel, which is Double Barrel Gaming. But we're going to put it up. We're going to put the audio on our podcast feed on Friday as a bonus show. So this show will come out Wednesday like normal, and then we'll just have an extra kind of episode coming out on Friday, which is just the audio from that podcast. If you didn't catch us then you can catch us on Friday.
It's a really good show. He's so nice, isn't he?
He's absolutely lovely.
It's
fantastic. It's a great show. Yeah,
So
it's really fun.
Yeah, we really enjoyed being on. So, and hopefully we'll have him on the show sometime in the future. That'd be amazing as well.
That is the dream, isn't it? Let's hope so.
Yeah. Great stuff.
The dream. I mean, gee. Okay,
Look,
fine.
it's been established, Eddie. Move forward.
Fine.
Anyway, at this point, I probably should reference Twitter because Kirk put a very effusive note down here saying that we should say a huge thank you to certain people for getting us over 400 followers. So I'm going to do so badly with these names.
I know, Pete. I'm so glad Ben wanted you to do this because you are like anti this kind of shit. I love this.
I know, and I will do it better than Kirk would, but that's just because I can read.
Yeah.
So I have that advantage. But anyway,
I don't know, because this is all at and there's...
know.
Right, remember, Ben criticised me for saying at, so you don't supposed to say that, right, Ben?
Oh, do we not say the at?
No, Ben
wouldn't
said
say
apparently you didn't supposed to. Yeah, fucking bullshit,
Anyway.
of course you do.
I feel we're taking away from it. This is a genuine, honest thanks.
It is.
And I do mean that. To These Goose.
I wouldn't call it These Goose. I'd rather call it the Sea Goose.
There's not an A, Ben. It's
What?
These
No, it
Goose.
doesn't matter.
What, the say
Now it's a
goose?
better name.
It should
The
be
Sea
These
Goose.
Geese. We all know that. But it's These Goose, all right?
The Sea Goose.
Fine. You know what? That's just rude. We should also point out Fish Chips Whips was there.
Ooh,
Oodles
that's
are
a
dim.
kinky name.
Of course he was.
Warlord Ethan.
Nice.
Draconius 67 and After School Sp 3, which I'm sure is short for special, you'd think, right? But
Couldn't be a party without him. That's great.
that's it. Thank you very much to all of you for getting us to 400 followers.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much.
I don't know how to handle fame, but there we are. You know,
I don't think you have to, Pete.
I know, and I'm so happy about that. But 400 will do. But with that out the way, I feel we should crack on with the meat of the show. And obviously, we've got the news and the new releases to start with. But after that, we're going to talk a little bit about Lego Star Wars because Ben has, of course, been playing that.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. And our feature this week is a Spotlight on the Community feature featuring ACG, or Angry Centaur Gaming, as he was known and kind of is, but he doesn't really use that much anymore. So we will get to that. But first off, let's have some quick news, Ben.
Go with the quick news. So Mario & Rabbids 2, the game that's coming out on the Switch this year, it's been leaked that it's going to be out for holiday 2022, which I think the holiday season starts from around October time, doesn't it? So any time from October through to December.
Pretty much the moment Halloween is over, everything for Christmas starts being advertised, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So,
I guess.
Yeah.
depressing as
So
it is.
anyway, that's courtesy of Nate the Hate on his podcast. He said that that's when it's going to come out. So that's good for Nintendo fans. There's quite a few good games that are coming out at the back end of this year, including like Splatoon 3 and the new Pokemon games like that. So add that to the list. And speaking of Nintendo games, there's another news piece with Metroid Dread. So that's had an update this last week. So it's had the boss rush mode added, so where you can fight the 12 bosses one after another.
Yep.
So, and your damage carries over, but your weapons are restored within. And if you complete that, there's another mode that unlocks called Survival Rush, and that gives you like a time limit to do it as well.
Oh wow!
When you defeat a boss, it adds time, and you move on from there. And if you do that, it unlocks the final mode, which I'd love to see this on Twitch, called Dread Rush, which is where it's one-hit kill, and any damage from any boss ends the run instantly. So that seems particularly brutal, but I look forward to seeing somebody do that on Twitch in the near future. But yeah, Metroid Dread now has all its updates, and it also had an easy mode update back in February, didn't it? So it's really catering for all audiences now. So fantastic game. And
what's your sweepstake on how quickly someone dread rushes this?
I would think, because you haven't got to play a game in between, it's just boss on boss, I would say a week.
Yeah, I was thinking tops, like maybe 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those where if you've got dedicated people doing it, they will do
Yeah,
that
doing
quick.
it for 7 hours, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever, they're going to do it, aren't they?
Yeah, whereas if it was one of us three, you'd be looking at 2026 sometime.
Well, actually, you might get that. You might get it really, really quickly, because there are people who obviously speedrun the game, and they would have been amazing at these bosses already and taking no damage on any of them anyway. So I can very much imagine that you might get somebody do it pretty much instantly.
It could happen, couldn't it?
So yeah.
So
But
you won't have to
anyway,
wait
moving
long for
away,
Twitch.
moving away from Nintendo. We mentioned this game quite a lot, XCOM 2. It's free on the Epic Store this week from Thursday. So this comes out on the Wednesday, and a day later, from Thursday, you can get XCOM 2 on the Epic Game Store, which is amazing because last week it was the first Warhammer Total War, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah. They're
So
doing
you
well.
could probably, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, you could probably go on, download Warhammer Total War still, and then tomorrow download XCOM 2. It's bloody brilliant, isn't it?
That's the thing as well. You don't actually have to download these. You don't have to install them or anything. You just have to have gone through the transaction, which is free. And then it's in your library. Like,
it's the same as on the PlayStation. So when you have PS Plus, you just have to add the games to your library. You don't have to download them or anything. It just needs to recognise the free purchase.
Exactly, yeah. But it's at the point where even if you don't have a laptop that can play them, you may as well do it. And then when you've got one, you'll have those there. Like,
well, it's for that rainy day, isn't it? Where you've got nothing to play. You just load up Epic Store and go, what's in my library?
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant. And keeping on the Epic train, it came out today, before this podcast, that Sony have invested £1 billion in Epic. So this could have something to do with the PSVR 2 or something like that. I don't really know. But Epic do own Unreal Engine 5, obviously. They own Unreal Engine 4 as well, but 5, the future of games, it would appear. And that also helps people, also may help them branch out into TV and stuff like that, because Unreal Engine 5 has crossover to other media as well, supposedly. So it may make sense in a few different ways, but interesting. So I don't know anything more on it, so there's nothing more to talk about. But, that's them's the quick news.
Sony have chucked money at Epic. Okay, fantastic. Well, in the longer news, Eddie, I think you were starting us off, weren't you?
The longer news. Come on, Pete, you're better than that. My one, Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes confirmed. Remedy have announced plans to remake Max Payne 1 and 2 after agreeing a deal with original publisher Rockstar. This comes from Eurogamer. The neo-noir action games, known for their bullet time gameplay, return as a single title for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and are built with Remedy's own Northlight game engine. According to Remedy, Rockstar is footing the bill for development. The studio behind Alan Wake and Control said the remake's development budget is in line with a typical Remedy AAA production. I'm very excited. I think I've made my points very clear that Max Payne was an amazing game. I would say it's probably one of, when I was a kid, one of my favourite third-person games, I think. Like, the bullet time was revolutionary. Do you remember the first time you used bullet time and you went,
yeah,
this is insane? How is
I've
this
never
game?
played Max Payne 1 or 2, you know?
Oof.
I've never played Max Payne.
Wow, then. Wow.
You're not a real gamer, Ben.
Never had. Obviously not a real gamer. Yeah.
Have you seen the movie, at least?
I have seen Wahlberg's movie.
Yeah.
But the what do you reckon if you went back and replayed these games? Do you reckon if not the remakes, the old games, do you reckon they would stand the test of time? Or they
I mean,
really
the
wouldn't?
graphics are horrendous. Like, if you go back to Max Payne 1, I mean, even that start fucking scene in the tube station is God, the pixels on it. It's
I was
like
going to say, it's like 2001, isn't it? It's
I
not one you can just roll back to.
It's an oldie.
God.
It's
Okay.
an oldie. But
There's this trend right now, isn't there, of doing these old games again? It's like but the audience that's appealing to is like us. Like,
and I
Still buy games, Ben.
and I have no
But, like,
interest.
the
Well,
younger generation.
if this was free, I'd play it. But that's as far as it goes for me. You know, like
it's I think it's a tough ask when you're appealing. I mean, the average gamer age is going up. I think supposedly in a recent study it said 30 because I researched that for another show. But it's older than you'd think, and maybe that is why they're bringing back these games. But I also think the other thing, and this applies to a news story later on as well, that they basically said we've just signed the agreement between Remedy and Rockstar, hadn't they? They just signed it. So this is so far out,
Yeah, it's a
like
long way away.
crazy far, and so it looks like the only reason they're doing this is to advertise that they're making this game for getting talent in or recruiting and that type of stuff. Like, it's just like you get the community buzzed for something in 4 or 5 years' time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Jesus,
That's
or is
the
it going
time
to be
frame we have
quicker
to
than
work
that?
on. That is the
Or
time
is it quicker
frame.
than that? Like, we don't. Yeah, it's a AAA type game, so
Yeah, it's not quicker than that. If it is, there's something wrong with it. That's my immediate thought.
that's true.
Well,
yeah.
in other game announcements, we also we had something from Halo, didn't we? Which is that Season 2 has been announced for May. So this second season, which is known as Lone Wolves, has been teased by a new trailer and is set to arrive on the 3rd of May. So 3 weeks away or so? And it's going to contain new maps, modes, themed limited time events, and an all-new battle pass. So this obviously comes on the back of people like Brian Jarrett, who's a community director at 343, saying that he understood that some fans were out of patience and that he and his team were not happy to be able to be unable to meet player and community expectations, which I think stacks up with our views on this for a little while, doesn't it? In that we've pretty much stopped playing Halo, entirely. We've joked about this because Eddie's still only 2 wins from Onyx. And while all of this stuff sounds fantastic, it sounds like what we wanted, it feels a bit late for me. And the fact that it's followed up in here, by the way, that they confirmed they need more time for cooperative campaign and Forge mode. Are we actually excited for this, or is it a little bit too late?
I think, and I could be wrong, but I don't know if you saw this in any of your research, that there's only 2 new maps. And one's a big team battle one.
Oh, God, you see?
I think. And there lies the issue. Therein lies the issue that we're getting a new battle pass, which is great, but it's essentially going to be one map that I want to play.
Yeah. What I don't understand about this is why they're not porting in maps from Halo 4.
So I heard a discussion on this, and someone was saying that it's not, people will think that it's just a map, a simple port. It's the same thing, even if you just put the same thing just in the game, you didn't even enhance it in any way. But it's the balancing issues of all the way that you move around the map and how the characters move and everything. They're saying that you can't. Those maps could essentially arrive broken. There's actually a hell of a lot that goes into it just to convert them over.
You're changing engine, you're changing an awful lot of things, but surely it's a massive head start to creating brand new ones. Like,
I honestly I don't know, but I would imagine you'd imagine it would be, but you don't know what's already pre-built that they've got in the back locker that they're pulling out. But this all is like, Halo was so far from finished. This is just what it's saying, isn't it? Like, even though we loved it and we loved I loved the campaign, I thought it was really good. I mean, it was obvious that the second half of the campaign was just like so different from the first half, and it was like stitched together. It was really weird. But overlooking that, like, had a good time with it, and the multiplayer was excellent. But they just had nowhere to go, did they? They just didn't. They didn't. It's almost like they didn't treat this as a live service game at all.
Yeah.
And it was actually just supposed to be a multiplayer in the game, and not a free-to-play multiplayer.
Yeah, and this is kind of. Oh my god! I've looked this up, and apparently it is only 2 more maps. I thought you might be right when you said that. I thought you might be right when you said that, but I was like, I'm sure it's more than that. But no, it's 2.
And I think one's a big team battle one, and
it is.
They really need to fucking get this Forge in, and if they got co-op in, I'd play it again, because I'd play with Kirk, or I'd play with you two, or play with somebody. You can play up to 4 people. Like, that's fucking great. I'd have another go on Halo campaign. Like, you guys haven't even played that campaign through, have you? So you might want to, as a 4, or as a 4 ball, go through.
That'd be cool.
Like, that'd be quite good. But I do think. But answer me this: do you think we'll be playing it on the 3rd of May, or thereabouts?
No. It's one of those that I'll always jump on and play if you guys are playing, but I would have no inkling to do it without that, unless all my friends were fucking playing and my girlfriend wasn't giving me jip about gaming too much. That's the two.
Thing is, you never played it on your own, did you, Eddie?
No, I didn't. I did it for the sole reason of I didn't want to. Well, I don't know. Why didn't I do it by myself? I think it was because I like in Warzone, I found myself playing it for hours and hours and hours when I played it by myself, and I knew if I broke that seal with Halo, then that would be a problem. But I wouldn't go back to this because of that, even if I was playing it by myself.
My tipping point will be if Pete says, "Are we playing Halo?" Like, you'll be my tipping point, because Pete's actually probably one of the most committed Halo players of us. Like, wants to play every day. Like, starts doing the battle pass. Like, you're all in, aren't you? Like, when you want to be.
Yeah.
If you went all in, I'd feel like I was being left out.
Yeah,
like, so I would. Fair. But I'd feel like I was missing out if you went back in. But it's not like there's season 2. Oh, great. Okay. Well, the only thing that appeals to me really is a new battle pass. Well, we'll wait and see.
I guess we will, yeah. It's one of those. I do still feel it's come a bit too late. That's the thing for me.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Especially for such a small update.
Right, so what if they said there was 4 new maps?
4 new
maps.
Non-big team battle maps. I'd be
so we're talking
happier.
4 new normal, we're talking Forge. I think we would be right back in.
You know what?
Yeah.
We would... I certainly would be back in, but more for the curiosity, because you want to log on and you play it and you go like, oh, I want to try the maps, and you don't get the map every time, so you keep on wanting to go back to it. And before not too long, you get hooked again, or you see that one of your mates is online, and you go, oh, fuck it, I'll just jump on. So, something like bringing... If there was 4 maps, I think it would probably be the minimum. Then it would be enough to bring us all back just to see what it's like, and that would probably be enough to hook us again. But
it's a good point you make about curiosity, because as soon as you turn it back on, you play a few games, you go, "This is a fucking good game."
Yes,
because it plays great, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it just plays brilliantly. Like, as a shooter, it's fucking on point. But another thing that I heard this week was the reminder that Activision are obviously coming under the Xbox banner, Microsoft banner. So maybe 343 need to watch their back on this one, because there are a number of talented FPS developers coming in to Microsoft. So 343's days may be numbered in terms of Halo games. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's definitely speculative news, but that's what we specialise in.
Absolutely,
so.
it's not news. That's not news. I've inherited that opinion is totally derivative of another podcast I've listened to. It's not. I didn't independently come
not
up
even
with
original
that.
thought as well.
No.
Love it. Okay.
What thought is original, Pete?
Yeah, fair.
So,
Nihil novum sub sole and all that. Fair enough.
Absolutely. Right, shall I move us on to the next?
Yes, please.
Please, quickly.
Right. So Crystal Dynamics, they have announced the new Tomb Raider game last week. So hot off the back of the talk of them helping out on the new Perfect Dark game.
Yeah.
They've been discussing this new Tomb Raider game and saying it's just started development and that it's going to be made in Unreal Engine 5 from Epic, like we mentioned earlier. So more and more games are being announced as Unreal Engine 5 games, like this Hellblade, the new Witcher, Stalker 2, Dragon Quest 11. That's been Dragon Quest 12. Sorry, the new Dragon Quest is Unreal Engine 5. Anything the Coalition, the Microsoft development studio, they're all Unreal Engine 5. That includes Gears of War and obviously Perfect Dark. So all big games are kind of revolving around Unreal Engine 5. And I don't think either of you, did you check out the Matrix Tech demo at all?
You know what? I don't know what that is, but I saw a Unreal presentation with Lara Croft in a jungle, in a very thick jungle.
Right.
Is that what you're referring
that
to?
would have.
Yeah.
No, that one was that the one last week?
I think I saw it about a week ago. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think I haven't
Matrix
seen.
Awakens, right?
I haven't seen that, but I actually mean the Matrix Awakens tech demo. That was it was a couple of months ago. So basically, they had or Epic had created in Unreal Engine 5 a Matrix world. So they created a city. There was a short kind of playable demo related to the film that had just come out, and basically you could walk around the city and you could turn into like camera mode and just put yourself anywhere on that city and that type of stuff. And it was to showcase kind of what can be done in Unreal, what development studios will have at their fingertips, and that this world is actually available for developers to just take. And just build off and just have the assets and all this kind of stuff. And a layman like myself, I can't really fathom what's so amazing about it because I don't know the technical things. Like, there are obviously incredibly impressive things in there, and people have pointed them all out, and I'm probably not the target audience. Though I do recognise it was good and it's impressive in itself. But this is the future, and that was supposed to showcase it. And a lot of people were saying that was bloody amazing. I played it on the Series S and the PS5 just to get a look of it. And what the one thing that I did think was impressive is that you could zoom right into like the tire labels on cars, and so there is like an incredible level of detail, and the world is living throughout the whole of the city as you kind of just take the camera anywhere, the people and all this, the cars and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it was impressive in that sense. So Unreal Engine 5, that's big, and the new Tomb Raider is coming to that. But again, it's going back to Eddie's point earlier, or the edit from Eddie's story. They're announcing these games so early on.
Yeah.
Like they said, they just started development.
Well, it gives them 5 years to actually get the new consoles to the people, and then they'll be, about the right time to release.
But doesn't it just give people a lot of time to start complaining that they go, oh, where's that Tomb Raider game? Oh, that Tomb Raider game's in trouble. All that kind of stuff.
Yes,
it's
we
like
can look at Cyberpunk then.
yeah, exactly. And then there's pressure, and then there's look at Halo.
Yeah,
Halo needed another 2 years for fuck's sake. So it's like. It's you just make a rod for your own back, aren't you?
Well, but this is surely how they get the best staff and the better investors, though, is by showing it off early. And in doing so, unfortunately, they also get all the attention from everyone who wants to play it.
Yeah, I suppose like
it's pretty hard.
If you say join Crystal Dynamics, you get to work on Perfect Dark and Tomb Raider. That's pretty good advert, isn't it?
Yeah, and the same if you say if you want a part of that, you fund us.
Yes.
That's going to be how they get it. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're damn right. Investment is a massive thing that I didn't mention. Yeah.
So we've got 3 new games there, which are coming out in 5 or 6 years' time, and a game we're expecting in May coming out in May with only 2 new maps. Cool.
Lovely.
Why is that news always sad?
I've got more interest. This isn't even on the document.
So is Eddie.
I've got the best
on
news.
that point, Pete. Yeah. On that point, there's a game that has actually come out early.
Ooh.
There's Advance Wars 1 and 2, the remake.
Yeah.
Somebody had preloaded that on their console, and Nintendo had authenticated it, and they've been playing it, and they put up on Twitter they started talking about it, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize nobody else had this." So there are actually games that are coming out earlier
for one specific person.
For one person.
It's that intern again, isn't it? That's going to be who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Eddie, your news story.
Everyone's going to be very interested in this one. RimWorld gets chance to reverse the Australia ban. It's from Eurogamer. I don't know if you remember a while, probably 4 weeks ago, I reckon, the Australian Classification Board banned the sale of RimWorld in Australia. What was it? Reasoned? Because it was immoral or something? Oh, then drug
just
use
deeply immoral.
Yeah. The reasons were pretty harsh, but anyway,
Very accurate.
Yeah, very accurate. Now it looks as though Australia is at least willing to reassess its original ruling. RimWorld's creator took to Twitter to announce the news, stating, "Good news, the Australian Classification Board is going to review their ruling which banned RimWorld from sale in Australia. We've got some legal professionals and expert witnesses," that's a weird comment, "helping out, so I'm optimistic. Thanks everyone for your support on this," Sylvester added. The meeting is scheduled for 20th of April, after which the board says it will share its decisions and reasons online for us all to see. Which I love, because this is win-win. Like if they're not selling in Australia anymore, I mean, I don't really care. But also, if the reasons behind it are going to be what all RimWorld fans love, is the fact that it's like this horrible, like, immoral game where you can do horrible things, and you just know the board, if they are going to reject it, then they're still going to go like, "Oh, this game is, you can do this and you can do that," and every RimWorld fan's going to go, "Yeah, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, more people will download it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I bet Sylvester's loving this. I bet he's going
it's such good publicity, isn't it? Yeah, but I mean, the use of the word witnesses did amuse me, because I'm there thinking, if you've got my drug peddling cannibal cult of organ farmers, they don't need a witness. They murder witnesses and sell their organs. That's kind of their thing.
We just need to go back to your remember when we used to do RimWorld stories and Pete had his that were
RimWorld stories.
What, do you mean the one where I took every single organ from the guy because he hurt my wolf?
Yes, that's right. He hurt your wolf, so that's the witness that we need
took
on the
away
stand.
every single element individually until it got to the point where he might.
Yes, so for new listeners, we did for a number of weeks at different times. We had RimWorld stories with Eddie and Pete, didn't we? Yeah. Cruel stories.
Well, yes. Eddie's mostly with these wonderful tales of survival that also had people dying. Mine were slightly less chance of death on my side and a much higher extremity for individuals.
Yours were more
yes, the Australian
stories.
Board listened to yours, Pete, and went, "We need to ban whatever this game is. We need to ban it."
What is actually going to happen is, at some time after this meeting, there's going to be a thing banning me from Australia, and RimWorld will be fine.
That's fine, Pete. I'm one of the witnesses for Australia on this one.
I'm pretty sure we said off the cuff and totally truthfully that we said, because Pete's a psychopath, and
yes,
moved on.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I think off the show, Pete went, "Is that really?" What you
No. Again, I've always clarified this. It's sociopath, not psychopath.
Yes.
Okay?
Apologies. Yes. It is. Yeah. You're fine.
There's a big difference, and it's very important, apparently.
Yes. That difference is often overlooked. It's the same outcome. No, move on.
Well, you're the one with the last piece of news.
Move on to me. Let me scroll up the doc. Where am I at? Okay. This week there was a weird circumstance of digital games on the PS3 and the Vita reportedly expiring and becoming unplayable. So this was for older games on those two consoles that people were trying to re-download when they previously purchased the game, and they were unable to actually play the game. So Chrono Cross, which just came out as a remaster, was an example of this. And one user claimed that he received a notice telling him that his license to play the game had expired on the 31st of December 1969. Now, the reason that is important is because 1970 is often used, 1st of the 1st 1970 is often used as like a date that is just input for one that's just filled in on the form for like a date in the past. So the thought on this is that it's a bug, but it has applied to Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy Origins, War of the Lions, what that is, and Rune Factory Ocean. So it's been noticed on a number of games, and the reason people thought this may be a little bit sus is because of Chrono Cross. Because Chrono Cross has just been re-released, people were thinking, maybe they're kind of forcing people, they're funneling people down playing the new version by turning off the old version. Now, it probably isn't anything as sinister as that, and it probably is just a bug that's caused this, and it will be fixed, but it hasn't been fixed in, I think, a week. So that's a bit long to not fix a bug, but it has been a weekend, so let's give it a bit of time. But the key thing that I just wanted to bring up here is we are living in a digital age now, and do you actually own anything if you buy a game digitally? When somebody just has the power to just turn it off. The intern effect.
There's always that intern.
Yeah, but we're now seeing on these consoles, like, and we assume it's a bug, but otherwise it's just no, sorry. And we've seen it with Nintendo, with the Wii recently, or on their different shops as well. If you haven't downloaded you can't re-download things, and it's done. So
yeah, well,
it's a bit. What happens in 20 years on your PS5 digital or something?
Well, I think it's definitely something that there's a gap in regulation on anyway at the moment. But think about it in regards to the tech improvements, and like, how many videos did your parents own? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
VHS, like those were bought, they're owned, and they are no longer in any way useful in anything.
Well,
so
you can have a VHS player, and you could hook it up to a CRT.
Yes, theoretically you could do, but I mean, who does?
but it's still there. But
yeah.
Oh no, come on.
What I mean is, I
people
think your
still
point
play
of 20 years in the future is a very good point, Ben, because this is going to be a very small issue until it's not. And I think at this stage it is still a small issue, but the actual ownership is going to be a problem at some point.
I think it's an issue that we've talked about on this podcast, and it's an issue that is often brought up. But I just think it's such a weird circumstance where nobody's really thought of the future. Now, you could say PC have been doing this for years.
Yeah,
Steam have been on this for years, and we've had issues where people have passed away, and actually passing on their Steam library is an issue, isn't it? Because of ownership and things like that. But it's digital is and we don't know the normal consumer doesn't know enough about it to know what they own and what they don't own.
Yeah,
and the fact that it's often more expensive to buy digitally than physically is another thing altogether. And you may not even be getting the same product. So it's just a warning for the future, but we can't really act on it.
No, I mean, this is just the 1984 of our time, isn't it? No,
yeah, exactly. This is just life.
Yeah. No, but yes, it's something that's a bit strange, and it's not exactly ideal for the consumer, but I don't know. I do feel there will be solutions presented before this becomes a massive issue.
Yeah, there probably will be. But even still, like, I mean, you come across the problems. Like my dad, he still has Dark Colony discs in his cupboard. And every single computer he's had in the past 15 years, which has been about 4 or 5, he has tried to install and cannot understand why it doesn't install. So, you know, it's a different thing, but it's the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is weird because those disc games, you have to wait for it to come on Steam where they've done something, so it actually works now.
Exactly.
Again, you have to basically replace it.
Well, do you remember, in fact, that there was actually a period where the old CDs didn't work, and do you remember that company sold out?
Yes.
Do you remember them? But yeah,
No.
they. I remember I had loads of discs, and they didn't work on my recent ones. And then this company called Sold Out. They're probably broke now because they based on old games that couldn't work. But yeah, that they sold all old games that worked on modern computers. And fuck me, I bought so many of them. I've probably got like 50 of them in my cupboard somewhere. Yeah. But then that went away, and then they didn't work on modern computers, and here we are.
The issue I always have when talking about this stuff, though, is we're veering dangerously close to NFTs when you talk about digital ownership, and I just want to steer a long way.
We haven't talked about NFTs in a while.
And then we go, we must have the blockchain because we must understand ownership. And then we want NFTs.
Yeah, God, no, we don't.
And then we come full circle, and then everyone goes, oh, maybe there is one use for NFTs.
No, but what we come down to is me going, I'd rather lose access to something 20 years later than have an NFT.
I'd rather not talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
and with
let's see what that brings in 20 years.
We haven't talked about Cyberpunk in a while.
Well, I mean, new releases is not really the time to do so, but that's where we are, so go for it if you've got it there.
All right, Cyberpunk comes out now. BIOTA. Oh, that was like the song. Comes out on PC April 12th. 2D Metrovania action platformer set in a mining colony infected by an alien plague. In BIOTA, what's that supposed to stand for?
Biota, I think.
Biota. Right, okay.
I think that's just it.
Right. You can choose your hero, fight gruesome monsters, and customize your 8-bit retro experience with a swappable 4-color palettes. Wow, 4-color palettes. This looks proper bad. Like, it's a 2D platformer, and it genuinely looks worse than the 80s games it's trying to base it on.
Yeah, this looks like a sold-out game.
yeah, like a bad one as well. Like one Ben would have played.
The most annoying thing about this game,
brand new Switch game,
for our listeners, it is B.I.O.T.A.
Yeah.
If you just type in Biota on Google, it doesn't come up.
Yes.
So this is a fucking wank name. Like, this is the worst possible fucking name for your video game to be known. Like, you can't type in the letters that make up your video game and it come up on Google. It's gone. See ya.
But if you add the word game, it does come up. So
yeah, but you can't just type. But everything else, you type in the name and underneath it will say video game and it comes up as the first thing.
True.
But you type in this, it's just not on the page.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking, and it looks wank, but the name.
It looks awful. You've got to admit, it looks proper bad.
It does look bad. There's no redeeming feature.
Yeah, I criticise these games all the time, but this one looks I reckon people in the 80s would, if they saw this, they'd go, "Oh, this is quite bad. Actually, I'm not going to play this." Fucking imagine it. 42 years later, Jesus Christ!
I'm sure they worked hard on it.
Did they though, Ben? Did they do a simple Google search?
No, they couldn't.
I think possibly what you're missing is that the term that comes up if you search this in Google is the exact one they were trying to mimic with their name. But even so...
it doesn't matter.
I take your point. But yes.
Yeah, they fucked up. Next one, Planet Zoo Wetlands Animal Pack DLC, coming out PC on April 12th. It brings 8 new animals for players to manage. There you go. So it's got like capybara, platypus, buffalo... red crown cane. Does anyone care?
I've never heard of this game, but it sounds wonderful.
Have you not?
I honestly I'm surprised you don't love this game, but
I'd never heard it. I looked it up, obviously, when it's on the new releases. I thought it looked bloody wonderful.
Ben, it's a simulation game. I assumed you already owned it.
As soon as it said simulation, I was like, I'm sorry.
I think people actually quite like this one. I think Planet
It's got
Zoo.
very, very good reviews on Steam. Yeah. Really highly positive.
I contemplated it because I loved... it reminds me of... Oh, fuck me. What's the Roller Coaster Tycoon? Yeah, that's it. Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah. I used to love that when I was younger. And this kind of reminds me of it. But Yeah, it was.
It looks like Jurassic.
That's Ben. I think I'm probably wildly off, but I remember. Well, I looked at it at the same time as Jurassic World or whatever that Jurassic Park game was, and I was umming about which one, and I thought they both probably won't keep my interest, so just left it.
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, great. It is by the same people who made Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Is it? Oh, good. Oh, it might be all right then.
Yeah. They also make Elite Dangerous, for the record.
Yeah.
It is a good studio. Yeah, it is a good studio.
What a spread! It's like Warhammer. Do you remember the people who make Warhammer games also made all the cycling games? What a fucking spread!
Wasn't it like Cycling Manager or something like that?
Cycling Manager! It wasn't even cycling games.
No, it's Cycling Manager. It's fantastic.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, next one. Abriss. I'm going to call it that. Coming out on PC, April 14th. Abriss is an atmospheric physics destruction building game. Build structures from parts to let them crash into your targets. Unlock new parts. Destroy more. Witness entropy and its worst in digital brutalist cityscapes. Build to destroy. Well, honestly, when I do this, so much saliva builds up in my mouth. I know that's a weird thing to say in a podcast. That's great. Anyway, for those listeners who have just not turned off to that, this looks bloody gorgeous. It looks really good. It looks like it'll be good fun. It looks like it's really physics-based. It goes into weight and direction and all that crap. And I think this would be a lot of fun to play, personally. I can't believe I'm saying that about such a simple-looking game, but I think everything about this game, what they've done, looks fantastic. What do you guys
Funnily enough, I agree with you on almost everything, except I don't really like how it looks.
Wow, I thought you fucking love it.
No,
it's kind of like a cyberpunky. That's the impression I got.
It is, but it's just a little bit too pixely for me.
So I'll go the other way and say I think it looks great, but I don't really understand what the point of the game.
You played Power Wash Simulator, Ben.
Yeah, and you're asking what's the point of this game.
There's a clear point to that.
That's
Pete.
just the resistance of entropy. Well, this is giving.
There's even a story to Power Wash
Simulator. It's not. Abriss doesn't tell me what to do. Power Wash Simulator tells me what to fucking do.
Okay, so it's just clearer instructions you needed written on the.
Absolutely.
Written on the thing.
I need to hold my hand. I need to hold my hand through it.
Fucking hell. Yeah, there is a campaign, Ben, where you go to like different areas and stuff.
Tell me more.
That's all I've got.
That's all you got.
That's all I've got. Maybe fucking do your own research. How about that?
I should also point out that if you spoke German, it would have been very simple.
Yeah, because I typed in Abriss and there was loads of actually like. It
just means demolition in German.
I was thinking it might have meant destruction in German. Yeah, oh, brilliant! Fucking nailed it. Okay. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
There you go.
Maybe now you've got your instructions, Ben. You can crack on with it.
Yeah. Oh, I could have done a German accent if I had time. Oh, I should have done that. Offend more people around the world. Next one, Bush Hockey League, coming out on Switch April 14th. Aggressive hockey is back. Experience hockey the way it was meant to be played in this old. A lot of people are going to be offended by that. In this old school arcade style hockey game where blood. There's not one comma in this fucking sentence. Style hockey game where blood on the ice is just another day at the rink. Rink? Yeah, I'm going to say rink. Big mustaches, no helmets, dirty hits of those hats, bench clearing brawls, goalie fights, and stick fights. That's Bush Hockey League. This came out in 2017 on PC. It looks a hell of a lot like NHL 95. I used to play that on I think Sega. Can I beat that? Am I that old? But that was fantastic. This could be a lot of fun, and I reckon this would be a great for like because I wouldn't want to go into my office and play this on a console, but on a Switch on handheld while watching something in the background. Bloody lovely. Ben, are you going to do that?
What puts me off is that it's got a 56, I think, on Metacritic on PC. I think it's a lowrider on PC.
In its defence, a game like this that is kind of based on just fighting and it's probably quite simple mechanics, I think they're never going to say it's a world beater.
Yeah.
Yes, you're probably right. You're probably
right. It's not for the FIFA crowd, is it?
I do think it's a great point that it's a Switch game. It could really find its home on Switch, couldn't it? It's because it was previously on PC. That's a tough crowd to be having this type of game on, isn't it? Like PC for this type of game. Maybe that's why the ratings are like that. But yeah, could be all right on Switch.
Cool. Right, to the big one of the week. Game of the Year contender, Cat Cafe Manager, coming out on PC and Switch, April 14th. Travel to the sleepy village of Catawalway and rebuild your grandmother's cat cafe. Renovate your restaurant, befriend the local cats and townsfolk, forge lasting friendships, unravel catty mysteries, and build a home for dozens of unique felines. This is amazing. It's got a good building system. You can manage your staff and hire environment. There's a village so you can kind of do shit in. This is Game of the Year, without a shadow of a doubt. Ben, when are you buying this so you can review it so that I can tell everyone about this game?
It just puts me off. You're going back to rebuild your grandmother's cafe, your cat cafe, and it makes me think it probably wasn't that great to start with.
That's where you got lost on this.
Yeah.
That was what lost Ben.
The first sentence, it lost me.
Was the familial attachment was what lost Ben instantly.
Exactly. Like, Grandma didn't make a good go of it first time round.
Yeah,
so
you wanted a cat consultancy company, didn't you? That's
Ben,
I can't imagine this being great business.
Ben, hang on. How about maybe it was the best cat restaurant in the world, but she died and... it's been a while since it's opened again, and that's where you've got the money from, because so many investors have gone, we need you to open up this place, because not only is this a a restaurant of the year, but even looking at it from a different perspective will be a game of the year. So
I'll tell you what, Eddie, that type of backstory would get me right in.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, fantastic.
When you said she died, I immediately went in some kind of bleak murder, which is one of the catty mysteries. That's where I went with that.
I'll admit, right? When I saw this,
unravel catty mysteries. How the grandma? That's
Turns
I
out
don't
the
get that
cats
impression
actually
from the
killed the grandmother.
from the graphical presentation. I don't get that's where they're going with it.
I suspect not.
A dark twist.
dark horror game. The grandma's
Turns
actually
out
alive.
Turns out it's more horror elements than any of the Resident Evil games in a decade.
Shit.
Yeah, absolutely. In the cellar underneath, just a skeleton surrounded by cats. Lovely. Right. Good.
Well, we turned that really nice looking game into a horror story. Brilliant. Excellent. Next one, Crimesight. Coming out on PC, April 14th. Who done it? Oh my god. They've actually put done it as in D-U. Who done it? All one word, D-U-N-N-I-T. That's for the listeners. Who done it? Or who will do it? A new mystery simulation game with player versus player action arrives on the crime scene. In Crimesight, players will face off against each other in a battle of wits. In this clash of good and evil, who can outsmart their opponent and come up on top? This, I was going to criticise it, but actually looks okay. Like, I think the look of it looks quite nice. What do you guys think? I don't really know what to compare it to, really.
Well, they've gone a bit Minority Report mixed with Sherlock Holmes, haven't they? It's an odd one. And I mean, it does look okay. It's very JRPG looking to me.
I was going to say.
Well, the characters do.
Yeah.
The characters, yeah. Because they love going down that route. Probably because there's a lot of money in it. But
well, it is Konami as well. I mean,
you do get a lot of crime mystery, like JRPG type looking games. The first thing that I thought about this is PC, but I think this needs to find its home on Switch, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm shocked that it isn't. They didn't market it for that. Yeah,
they might later down the line, I suppose. But yeah, Crimesight seems definitely like a Switch game.
Maybe because Cat Cafe Manager was coming out and they didn't want to compete against that.
Yeah, they didn't want to get in the way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I respect that. Yeah. You've got to know when you're beaten.
Exactly. I'm surprised they didn't delay it like most games did around the Cyberpunk.
Yeah, true story. Yeah, get out of the way.
That's probably why this is such a shit week of new releases. There you go, we've solved it.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go. When I'm right, I'm right.
I'm glad that we've acknowledged that it's a shit week.
Hey, we still got 2 games left, B. Next one, Tormented Souls, coming out on Switch, April 14th. Classic survival horror is back. Inspired by the original Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark series, Tormented Souls modernizes with a fresh twist on the fixed perspective adventure as Caroline Walker investigates the mysterious disappearance of twin girls in a terrifying mansion turned hospital. Came out in 2021 on PC. It's got very positive reviews. And it looks really dark and atmospheric. It looks okay. I wish Kirk was here, because I wish he saw this.
Yeah, and I suspect that this will come to Game Pass at some point because it has been on Xbox and PlayStation, as far as I'm aware. And people, it was very heavily streamed.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, like because it's a callback to the original Resident Evil, you know, like the fixed cameras and stuff like that. And people very much enjoyed it. I think it is a Kirk game, and if this does eventually come to Game Pass, I definitely expect that you'd enjoy it.
All right, cool. Yeah. Last one, Tato Milestones, coming out on Switch, April 15th. Tato Milestones, coming boxed and digital for Nintendo Switch. 10 groundbreaking classics from Tato's arcade vault. A variety of genres and gameplay styles. The origin of pixel graphics and art with a timeless look. Not a timeless look. That's incorrect. This is just lots of 1970s games. Wow.
Yeah, it kind of. Yeah.
I never even heard of these
hard
games.
for that blurb, by the way.
not a timeless look.
Not
disagree.
Not a timeless look.
Incorrect.
Objectively wrong.
Yeah, I mean they are 80s, not 70s, but they are very much dated to that.
I believe actually I read that they were released in the 70s but only became popular in the 80s actually.
Oh wow. Okay, fair enough.
Shit, the man's done his research.
Yeah, apparently so. I'm shocked. I'm very more shocked by that than the fact that these are 70s games.
I'd like to be informed. I budgeted 3 hours to do my research like I do every week, and then I spent 2 hours researching Cat Cafe Manager.
Playing Cat Cafe Manager, yeah.
Yeah, and about another half an hour buying a Switch just for it, and then half an hour researching other games. So there you go. That's it for new releases, but it's been a pretty shit one, but at least there's games coming to Game Pass this month. On April 4th, there's MLB The Show 22 and Cricket 22. Pete, you going to play the cricket one? You're a cricket boy.
It's already out, and I probably will give it a play, yeah. At some stage. It's one of those I'll just jump into and try. I'm not expecting too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love for you to come back and say it's actually a good game.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
It's all dependent on modes, isn't it, with that type of thing? Because like the game can be so-so or pretty good or whatever, but you'd actually probably just appreciate it there being a competent cricket game. But if they had some good game modes, you'd be like, all right, this is actually...
Honestly, I just want to play proper test cricket and bat out 8 hours for 40 runs.
Right, okay, fine. You just want gameplay, don't care about the mode. As long as you can turn it to real time.
I want to make it like real cricket. Yes, that's the way.
Right, okay.
Fair enough.
Good.
Next one, Chinatown Detective Agency, Dragon Age 2, and Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, all coming out on console and PC, and all coming out on April the 7th. Oh shit, so Star Wars Squadrons, which I thought was already on it, but hey-ho.
I think it was previously on Game Pass.
Yeah, I think this is a
maybe they took it off. They sometimes do that, don't they? They take things off.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that we had a discussion about maybe playing
it.
Yes,
we did. We were thinking about playing it.
We were.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
To be fair, I'm also pretty sure that Dragon Age 2 was on there at one point, which is a fantastic game.
Yes.
I think Dragon Age Inquisition was, because I played it.
I know, but I thought Dragon Age 2 was too.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure there's been a Plants vs. Zombie game on there as well.
Oh, yeah, but there's so fucking many of them.
So what we're saying is, on top of the actual rubbish new releases, there's a bunch of games coming back to Game Pass.
However, Chinatown Detective Agency was at the Indie Direct. We'll call it a Direct, the indie showcase that Xbox did a few weeks ago and was subsequently released, and it looks quite a good game.
Yes,
quite
I
like
believe
it,
even I said that.
It's got that kind of Katana Zero graphical style, but yeah, it looks pretty decent for people that like those types of games.
Yeah, certainly. Coming out on April 12th was Life is Strange: True Colors on console and PC, Panzer Corps 2 just on PC, and the Dungeon of Nahulberg, the Amulet of Chaos, came out on console and PC. I'll wedge this one in April 14th as well. Console and PC, Lost in Random. Any of them particularly fancy?
I'll play Life is Strange, True Colors for sure. Like there was a real surprise that this is coming to Game Pass, and it kind of headlines Game Pass for April for me. Because it must have come out less than 6 months ago, something like that.
Lost in Random. It's pretty recent as well. I think that was end of last year.
It absolutely is. Yeah. It was. It wasn't. Am I wrong in thinking that it was PlayStation originally?
I don't think so.
Maybe it wasn't an exclusive, but it was. That was also about 6 months ago, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think it was September.
It was in because I remember listening to Offshore and it being in their like Game of the Year discussion, not at the top, but I think they discussed it anyway. So yeah, it was definitely a decent game from last year.
Yeah.
So,
that one does intrigue me slightly. It's got really good reviews from user scores. So
yes, and I think the fighting mechanics are like involving dice rolls and stuff like that as well. I think it looked quite good from what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a few good things there at the end.
There we go. I mean, a few, very few, but
a few is just plural, but without committing to any number. So
yeah.
Right. Well, with that, we're on to what we've been playing, and obviously, the key one here, Ben, is on you with Lego Star Wars. But before we get to that, I did just want to touch on the fact that I have finally completed Elden Ring.
Hey.
Nice. Yeah. Which I feel is actually a reasonable time. It's like just over a month.
Yes.
It's taken me, which, when you actually work full time, I feel pretty decent for a game this size.
That's a dig at Ben.
That's a passive dig, isn't it?
Obviously. The streamers, not Ben at all. Yeah,
it's a passive dig that I play a lot of video games because I have a lot of time.
Well, I just wanted to point it out. But yes, I've also, I've done what I usually do in these RPGs and done literally everything you can do in a run without save scumming. So I think I'm like 2 achievements short of platinum, which is kind of annoying. But
it's amazing what you've done. It's amazing that you've done everything you possibly could. You've fought every boss, and
that's it.
Cool.
That's it. And it tells you how hooked I've been on it that I've done that. Because I think Witcher 3 was probably the last one I did that with, and that was 6 years ago. So it tells you just how hooked I've gotten it. And obviously it's a fantastic game. And obviously finishing it has left me with a massive void of what do I want to play, which is an issue. But I did get to the end feeling one slight disappointment with this game. And that is, and I mentioned it to you a few days ago, didn't I, Ben? That is the fact that it's very much the open world, while it's amazing, it's dead. And I suppose I should have seen that coming because it is FromSoft. But it does disappoint me a little bit that despite creating one of the biggest and most polished open worlds there's ever been, nothing is happening when you're not there.
Yeah, you described it to me brilliantly by saying that like everything's waiting for your arrival.
Yeah, that's it. They are all just passive until you get on screen.
Whereas in the other games you mentioned, like Skyrim and The Witcher, you can imagine that the hustle and bustle is going on when you're not there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and
and
that was kind of annoying for me. That was a bit like, I wish they'd done a bit more on that. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't take away from it being an incredible game, but it is probably the reason I tend to lean more towards Bethesda and CD Projekt Red than I do towards FromSoft in the long run. So I just thought I'd throw that in because I think that only came to me near the very end, was that realisation as a problem.
When we were discussing it, the way that I thought about it was that the other games that they have done in terms of the Soulsborne games through to Sekiro, it's always that it's almost a linear path. Now, you can take different paths, but it's almost like a linear path through the game, and they were always designed like that, so you'd come up to something, and this problem that you're kind of presenting, which I do think is actually, I understand it. It didn't matter so much, and I've always questioned like that behind it, but the story where you're kind of put in and you were the in this you're the tarnished or whatever, the story always encapsulated kind of that the world was dead, and that you were kind of like setting the in a flame or whatever again, or you were going through to fight the end boss for this particular reason because you're the undead, you're the chosen undead kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this doesn't do it in such the same way in terms of its story development. So I do get how that could be something where you say, right, it doesn't. There's something missing a little bit.
Well, this is the thing: is like you look at the entirety of the Lands Between as it stands, and you go. I think I said this a while ago as well. I think it was the lingering problem with the motivation for me is that if I end up as Elden Lord, like I'm just sitting there watching a dead world still, like nothing changed. It's all everyone's passive. The only place, in fact. Yeah, the only place where there's any sign of life before you arrive is the Windmill Village. And that's where there's like dozens of women just dancing around because they're completely insane. That's the most living place in the game.
I was going to say, nothing encapsulates it more than hitting New Game Plus and you're the Elden Lord of still the same static world. It's a nothing kind of like... Yeah, encapsulates it more. I get that kind of criticism. Now, from my mind, that never came into it as even a. And I know it's not an issue for you. It's just a point. But it never really comes to the fore of mine because I expected this to just be a Dark Souls game.
Yes.
And it turned into a hybrid of Dark Souls, which was Dark Souls 1 Remastered was my favourite game ever. And this turned it into a hybrid of that and the RPGs that I've known and loved forever, and it's so therefore that's why it sits top. But I understand that issue. Yeah,
and I mean, it was the only thing that sort of drew any kind of like out of me. But I will reiterate, because I think I've said it before on the show, the bosses in this game are iconic, though, quite a few of them. From Margit, just for how many people struggled with him, all the way through to Radahn and Melania, who I actually think are two of the best boss fights around, even if Melania is ridiculous. They are as good as I've seen in an RPG ever. Like, they're fantastic fights.
Yeah. I do, like, I still, because I'm on my... I did it once, but I kind of did it to complete it. I did extras as well, but I spent 80 hours in it. But obviously that 80 hours isn't enough to do everything. Yeah. I then went on to New Game Plus, and I've done just over half the game again in New Game Plus, but then I started again as a melee only to kind of go through the game again, and I'm 20 hours into that playthrough as well. So I'm trying to experience as much in a different way, but I still... I'm just in awe of going from like biome to section and going, this is just so crafted. Like, I have never played a game this crafted.
Fair.
I'm blown away. Now, admittedly, I haven't played the likes of World of Warcraft, which you've mentioned to me, Pete, and that's obviously had 20 years of development behind it.
Yeah.
So
and it's the scale of that one that's the difference. Like, the polish
I'm not
obviously
bringing
not
that,
the same, but
I'm not bringing that into it, and I suppose you clarify and say single player game or something like that. As much as this is predominantly a single player game, but the craft that has gone into every part of this is just I'm just flabbergasted that a game can do that anyone has ever done that to a game.
But
can't speak hardly enough.
There's the final thought on Elden Ring.
That's the definitive final thought.
At least for now, until we replay it in 6 months' time with the DLC.
Well, I'm still replaying it now, so I'm on the third playthrough. So, but yeah, we will try to refrain from talking about Elden Ring, I suppose.
Just as we do with Cyberpunk, yes.
Yes.
So, Eddie, I'm sure you've got brand new games to talk about, right?
Oh, sorry, buddy. You thought I did because I put on the dock EFT, and you're like, "Oh, what's this game?" That stands for Escape from Tarkov. I have been playing some RimWorld, so I guess that kind of counts, right?
Any stories?
Not really. I've just, like Escape from Tarkov is so intense that, like this week, like when you just don't want to deal with it, you just want to have a nice casual gaming experience. Do you ever? I mean, Ben, you surely experience that a lot because you.
That's when he power washes,
games. Yeah, that's when he power washes.
Well, the next game is a palate cleanser, so yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I've been
Spoilers.
playing. I've been chopping and changing depending on my mood between Escape from Tarkov and RimWorld, but really enjoying both of them, to be honest with you, as usual.
I actually have a little RimWorld story for you.
Oh, go on.
Because I remember both of you saw my lovely base I'd created last time you were up here.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Do you want to know how that one ended?
No.
Despite having 27 colonists and being insanely overpowered, that game ended in frustration when my main dude, the one who represents me, went out to hunt a new dinosaur I'd brought in through a mod. And it turns out, and they have a retaliation attempt if you hunt them, but it turns out that applies to all of them on the map. So while he killed one instantly, the other 31 of them proceeded to mercilessly headbutt him to death. And I couldn't get any help to him in time. It was a huge map, and he was on the absolute opposite corner. So
and that was the end of the game?
with a wonderful marble-lined mountain, ended because of headbutting dinosaurs.
Tragic.
Fantastic.
So there we go, RimWorld stories again.
Don't fight dinosaurs.
That's what I've learned. I've learned that lesson.
What I was thinking, Eddie, was that you had said to me a couple of weeks ago that you might not go back to Tarkov because you lost a lot of your kit.
Yeah. It was while I was playing Weird West, so I didn't play Tarkov for 3 days, and Tarkov has a mechanic where you insure your gear, and if you die, then people... the computer goes in, pretends to go in and get your stuff, and whatever hasn't been taken, it gives you back if you've paid the insurance. And I stupidly, while playing Weird West for a few days and getting the review out and whatnot, I just didn't touch it, not even log on, which I completely forgot about that system. So I logged on and I lost. Oh fuck me! I lost. It's difficult to compare, but I would say probably 10 hours worth of gear. So yeah, just because I forgot to log on, which was it's good. To be fair, most games, like when something big happens like that, it puts me off so much. I normally put the game down, but I've gone back to it. I'm not enjoying it as much as I was. I've got to admit, like before, I was dying to get on after work and maybe even waking up early to play it. While now, if I'm in the right mood, I'll play it. But if I'm not in the right mood, I'm playing RimWorld. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long this keeps me for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
Well, maybe you might feel like going back to Elden Ring, the best game of all time. Maybe.
If only the world was a bit more living,
Yeah, if only.
I actually think this is a problem that me and Eddie would have, and you don't have at all, Ben. I think that is the thing.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
But anyway, we did the final thought on that. Now it's time for Lego
we
Star
did.
Wars.
Sorry, that was the final thought. That was the final definitive.
Should we chat about NFTs or?
I'm actually going to mention Elden Ring in the feature anyway, so let's just
fucking hell.
give up on all of it. Come on, Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Yes, so I couldn't resist and I picked it up. But the trailers leading up to this looked great. The gameplay, like we all commented on it last week, didn't we? And said actually it looked pretty damn good.
Before you move on, how much did you get it for then?
I think 45.
Okay,
45.
That's pretty reasonable, isn't it, for 9 games functionally?
Yeah, exactly. So as you say, it's 9 games, it's 9 films. So you can choose which of the 3 trilogies you can start on. You don't have to play them in any particular order, but you have to start at the start of that trilogy, if you know what I mean, to unlock the next one.
Yeah.
But bear in mind that I've only played 2 of the films at this point. So take that for what it is. And I'm sure many of you out there may have played more of it. So I'll just give you my my impressions for what I've played. I picked it up on Switch because for me, this very much is a pick up and play game because I've played Lego games before. and to be honest, I haven't really overly enjoyed them because I think I played like the old school Harry Potter ones, and I think that's when they were kind of finding their feet. They weren't really knowing what they were doing at that point.
Yeah.
And this one, though, it's the best one that I've played, and it seems to very much it flows a lot better. The combat's a lot better. Like there's just more game stuff in it, like normal game mechanics, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a third-person kind of, I'd say, combat game. Like depending on what character you are, you could have a gun and it's a shooter, and it's a cover shooter. Even you can go behind cover and lean out and all that kind of stuff. As a Jedi, the Jedi combat is fantastic. Like you can use the Force, pick things up, throw it. You can throw your lightsaber. You can fight with your lightsaber, obviously, and it's actually really, really good, and it feels great. It's some of the best lightsaber combat I've played with for a while. I'm not going to lie, and it's a fucking Lego game. But from what I've experienced, again from the 2 films that I've done, and I started in chronological order. So I started with The Phantom Menace, and it's not been much of a challenge yet, but that's not necessarily the point nor an issue with this game, I'd say, because I like it. You know, we've just been playing a lot of a game that we're no longer allowed to talk about, and need a bit of a palate cleanser, and this does serve it. Like Ghostwire Tokyo, I really like that game. I thought it was fucking great. But again, it was like you have to be on your A game. This is very much, I can have it on, have something on the TV. I've got it on my Switch, lovely. Just play it along, and it's happy days. You don't have to pay too much attention to it. Very much like guides you round where you need to go next and all that kind of stuff. So it's very hold your hand type stuff. So that's good. But the set piece kind of fights and boss fights like Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Very, very well handled. Very, very good. Not a challenge, but just quite fun and cool. And the comedy in it, it's not it's fun, and it's fairly funny, and it's kind of gentle mockery as it goes through, but it's not overwhelming. Like it's not trying to be funny at every fucking moment. And it's more like the little things where you're going, oh, that's cool. Like it's nicely handled, I think, for a Lego game. But on that note, if you're not a Star Wars fan, I don't see how this would fit in for you. As a Star Wars fan, all it makes me want to do is watch the films, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch the film. I'll just play the film. But I'm playing the Phantom Menace. I'm like, oh, this would be. Oh yeah, I should watch that again. It's like, no, I don't want to watch the Phantom Menace. Let's just play the game. This is actually really good because it takes you through. It's actually remarkably like on the line of the film. It really takes all little nods to the film. So
yeah, that's one of the things they've specialised in the Lego games, isn't it?
And I love it.
Going right through it. Yeah,
I love it for that because I'm playing the film. And it's like watching the film, but just a bit more interactive, and you're getting some quirky little other bits going on. And there are like a huge number of collectibles in this game, so there's side quests and stuff like that. And therefore it makes it reasons once you've completed a level, it'll then like open it up in free roam and stuff. But for me, it's about just going through the film, if you know what I mean. Like I'm not playing it for that collectible stuff, and I think ultimately the people who are going to get a lot of the content, a lot of the value out of this are going to be the people who go back and want to get all of the collectibles and do everything. And then I think there's fucking hours and hours and hours of content in this. Yeah. But I am just enjoying, because I think it would just be cool to just go through all 9 films. It's like, yeah, fucking go through 9 games there. That's really, it's really fucking good. But it's how it's yes. Go on, Pete.
I was just going to say, how long roughly does each one take you to go through? Is it the same length as the film as well, or is there obviously...
Pretty much a couple of hours. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's a couple of hours, and it's good. Like for that reason, and it is just following it along. It's just it's very, very good. It's and I like how they incorporate, and this is what I mean about the Lego games kind of growing up. And I think these are newer editions, but I haven't played many of the recent ones. But you get unlockables. The things you collect allow you to unlock new ships, new characters, and also upgrades to your characters, like core upgrades. But you can also upgrade like specific characters, like your Jedis or your bounty hunters or whatever, who you're playing at. And the upgrades for those specialists like Jedis and bounty, they're not particularly good, so it doesn't really add much to your experience. But the core ones are quite meaningful, I think. So there is like a point to it, but it doesn't seem like. But it's not overwhelming to the fact like Elden Ring, I've got to get another 15 levels before I can fucking begin to fight that boss. It's not like that. It's more doing it for the fun of it rather than the needing to do it. So that's all the kind of positive stuff. But setting that aside, the kind of negatives that I get so far is like the side quest stuff. And it could just be me. And like I said, I'm only a few hours in, few films in. But it seems a bit convoluted in my mind. Like, it seems like there isn't like a very good tracking system. You can go in and find your quest logs and stuff like that, but there's not a great tracking system for it. And it almost made me think, I looked into it a little bit and then I was like, I'll just play the film. Like, it made me kind of turn me off doing all the other stuff. Because I did actually start this game and think, you know what, Ben, you could go on a bit of a collectathon. You could actually try and do something like that and get... But I couldn't see any checklist. Give me a fucking checklist of like the things that you want me to do.
You want to work, you do.
Exactly. I want to be put to work on this game and say, right, fucking do this, do that. But yeah, so I'm basically just playing the story, and I may be being very harsh on that. Somebody could just go, no, but this is just how you're supposed to play it, blah, blah, blah. And that'd be fine. But intuitively, at the moment, I'm just like, well, okay, I don't really understand how all that other stuff works, and there's no great tracking system for it. So, but there probably is. I'm just not seeing it. And I do think there is this huge amount of content, but I'm not entirely sure what that is at the moment. Like, I don't know what that content is because I can't see it. 'Cause I think maybe you have to go through the game and then you come back to it in the free roam and everything, and then it all becomes a bit more clear.
Right.
So I think that's where it goes. But there is just an insane amount of variety, even on what I've played so far, in terms of the level design, which is the thing that makes you go to the next level and go, oh, like pod racing. There's pod racing, and then you go through, and then there'll be... It's almost like It Takes Two, in a way. Like, the levels are all pretty different, and it's not repeated that much, and there's quirky things that happen, and you're like, oh, it keeps it interesting. So you can, and this is with a positive look on it, you can just go through the motions and be entertained with it.
Okay.
Because it does keep it fresh when it goes through. And the real hook for it is that I love Star Wars, and if you love Star Wars, you're probably going to enjoy this. I'm not sure if it's £45 worth of enjoyment for me, but it's but I am enjoying it, and I am definitely going to play it, and I would like to 2 or 9 games. Like, I think that'd be pretty good. I'd enjoy that.
I don't know. Again, I'd probably end up only playing 8. I think. But if you had the option, I'd probably skip the very first one as well, the one you've just done.
Well, I didn't mind the last trilogy, so
I
didn't mind
enjoyed
the
the first
either,
2.
So.
Just the last one. The last one got away from me.
Fair enough. You're
Which
a purist.
one's so the latest one's the one with the really handsome guy driver, isn't it? Yeah, I thought
Adam Driver.
I thought they were all a bit shit.
I thought the first one was excellent because it was just A New Hope, just really
I
thought
enjoyed
it
the
was
first
so
2. It was
bad. No,
it was the third one where
shit.
it was the third one where Palpatine just returns in the
out
pre-script, and then they create the greatest threatening fleet the galaxy's ever seen on a planet they can't take off from.
Right, we're now delving into movie talk, and we're going to get emails on this, and
But there were just a few things there that I felt were slight gaps in what they were doing. Anyway, yes. Plus, we've just said we both like The Last Jedi, which will get us loads of hate mail.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know. I was thinking that a lot of people hate it.
Which one's the one with Darth Maul? I love that one, and I know
That's
everyone
the first
fucking
one.
hates
Phantom
that
Menace, and people hated that one.
Everyone
I hate
hated
the
that
Phantom
one.
Menace.
I fucking loved the Phantom Menace. That
no.
battle with fucking
Yes,
Liam
that
Neeson.
fight is
Oh
great.
God,
Yeah, so
Jesus.
So Eddie, I did that at Lego Star Wars, and it's it's a really good fun
there's a
kind
lot
of exchange.
There's a lot of good things, but there's also things like the pod racing sequence, Jar Jar Binks, and other
Never.
such items.
Again,
Is Jar Jar Binks in
we
this
decided
game,
to move on, and then we just
Ben, is Jar Jar Binks in this game?
yes, Jar Jar Binks. Is
Yes, I'm buying this.
Oh, that's painful. Okay,
Yes, you can play as Jar Jar Binks. Yes.
You're right. We
Yes.
probably should move on. We should move on. Because we are really deviating from what is normally just pure gaming. Anyway, and that's where the Lego Star Wars crossover brings you. But anyway, it is time for our feature, and it is time to cast the spotlight on ACG. So I feel, well, we like doing these features because it's a chance to just highlight people, isn't it? That's the key thing.
Yeah. So who was the last one we did it on?
That's
Spawn
what I'm
Wave, wasn't it?
desperately trying to remember.
Spawn Wave.
Spawn Wave, yes.
Spawn Wave, yeah.
It's been a little while. We've had quite a lot of features, so yeah, it was Spawn Wave, and that was really good. And again, it's not about them being complete unknowns, because neither Spawn Wave nor ACG are anything like an unknown.
God,
It's just
no, yeah.
about pointing out reasons we like them and reasons other people should check them out.
Yeah,
So-
it's more like our community, the people who listen to this podcast, we imagine would like similar things
Yes.
to us.
Exactly,
So we
yeah.
like this stuff, so check them out if you want
Absolutely.
to. And
Precisely.
then you might find somebody you didn't know about.
Yeah, so ACG, or Angry Centaur Gaming, is a reviewer on YouTube. He goes by Carrick, and he is very proud to say that he's one of the top 10 video reviewers in the industry. He also has a podcast and does interviews on that podcast, and that's every Friday at 10:30 Pacific time, I think. And he has had some pretty amazing interview candidates, by the way, guys, like John Carmack, who that's the CTO of Oculus VR, who also co-founded ID Software and was lead developer on things like Doom and Quake. So yeah, I mean, that sort of stuff is phenomenal if you want to check that out. But primarily for me, I wanted to bring him forward as a reviewer. And it's because we mentioned quite a few on this show, from the Spiffing Brit to Worth a Buy, and there's multiple other ones that you talk about particularly, but all of us mention here and there. And I just think ACG brings something slightly different. So
Yes.
for me, it's incredibly detailed and comprehensive gaming reviews, which tend to focus a lot on the mechanics and how the game works more than how they feel about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so for me, he occupies a very different space from people like Worth a Buy.
Yes.
Now, I should also point out one of the key things I like about ACG is the fact that he always pays for every game. If he gets it given to him for free, he buys a copy and gives
I
it away.
didn't know that.
He does.
yeah.
He does. Yeah. He says it. He says it at the start of his videos. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. If he's ever got one for free, he buys a copy and gives it out to a subscriber on the review video.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I always like them doing that. But it's a different tack
We
from
won't
most
be doing
reviewers
that.
for me. We will not be doing that. No,
No,
please
we
give
will
us
absolutely
things.
not.
Please give us stuff.
Anything.
Happy to receive.
If you want me to say it's the best game of all time, I'll do it.
Absolutely. I've
will-
always said we're willing to endorse anything we're given.
Anything.
I will sell out for anything that isn't day one Game Pass. That is
Pete
how
will
it is.
pay Power Wash Simulator.
Okay, there
You'd
is a
fucking
line.
love it. You'd
There is
fucking
a
love it.
line at that point. I'll give that to Ben and pretend it was a present. So anyway, on topic on ACG, it's the detail he goes into with reviews, and in particular the fact that he's not afraid to re-review a game. And this, by the way, is where I mentioned Elden Ring, because he originally raved about Elden Ring as everyone else did, and after 2 patches re-reviewed it and changed it to a wait for sale.
Oh.
Because he went, on PC, the patches have made the stability worse to quite a large extent. Wait until they fix it, or wait for sale if you haven't picked it up yet.
Yeah, one point on this is that he is more of a PC game reviewer,
massively,
isn't he?
massively so. And this obviously is why I thought of him, primarily because I'm playing 90% of everything on PC. But I really value that sort of input when they're willing to go back to it and go, actually, this has messed it up, or actually this DLC or patch has fixed everything. I really like the legitimacy that brings to it. And I tend to find that ACG is one of the first ones I look at.
I'm the same, Pete. I'm exactly the same. ACG is one of the first I go to. He gives more comprehensive reviews. What I do like about him, and you said this as well. So the other one that you mentioned was Worth a Buy. I love Worth a Buy's reviews. Don't get me wrong. I think we all watch him and we all like his reviews.
Absolutely.
And I'm always interested in what he's got to say. But oftentimes I think I know what he's going to say before he says it. and he very much goes on one side or the other.
Yes.
Whereas what you get with ACG is a really good breakdown, but he will never raid something. Like he will always put forward the balanced yes and no. And I watched his Ghostwire Tokyo review, and I think he was quite critical of what it kind of was and its basic kind of combat, that kind of stuff. But having watched his review, I still said I'm going to buy that game. Like because it, even if his kind of thing is, well, it's not worth it, it's not good, but he's shown enough and he's talked about enough where I've gone, yes, I can make my own decision rather than your opinion being my opinion, which happens with a lot of these YouTubers, which I'm guilty of that. Like I listen to that, I suddenly have their opinion. You can make your own opinion from what he's saying.
And this actually is the sort of the key point I wanted to get across. I quite often go through an ACG review, and when I get to a certain section, quite often bugs, I go, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Because as a PC gamer, and Eddie, I'm sure you have the same, I'm going to put so many bloody mods on a game after a while that it's going to be buggy as hell anyway. So I don't mind a few bugs. That's not a problem for me.
And for me, it's always because I buy the game way later. So
they've probably been fixed.
They've all been ironed out by then. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's if you're doing your research into a game, if you're actually looking to find out a wide angle look on these games, ACG is phenomenal for it. Absolutely phenomenal.
I tell you what one got me, the Guardians of the Galaxy review, because I saw when Guardians of the Galaxy came out and it was getting rave reviews from the likes of IGN and people like that. I was like, okay, right, let's watch a real reviewer. I put on ACG and he loved it, and I was like, okay, this is a good game. I still don't want to play it, but this is a good game. I now know it's a good game, like because of how he's spoken about the game, what he's presented on the game, and that he said, you know what, this actually hits all the notes. You're like, okay, it's objectively, it's done exactly what it's set out to do, and I can understand why people think this is a very good game now.
Yeah,
and you can trust it a bit more. That's my belief on it.
Precisely. So, I mean, I guess that's all there is to say. But if you haven't checked them out, if you're looking for someone who is going to give you a good review of a game, and you need more than just hours, which are sporadic and not always there, you could do an awful lot worse than going and looking at ACG.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to his review on Cat Cafe Manager.
I bet you are. Actually, I would look forward to any reviews on that game because I imagine they're going to be worth as much as the game.
That's the thing. He generally does AAA games or the bigger games, doesn't he? So if you're looking for more indie kind of games, then you might be looking elsewhere. But he definitely does the bigger type games and really focuses in on them. Some of his reviews go up to 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of them are around the 15-minute mark, so it's a lot more reasonable. But a 30-minute review does put me off a little bit. But,
wait, there's something that puts you off, Ben?
Yes,
shocked.
There certainly is. There certainly is.
Anyway, I feel we should all obviously mention that if people do want to send us Star Wars-based hate mail, how can they get in touch with us, Ben?
They can email us at podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk. You can tweet us at grumpygamerspod, or you can go on our YouTube channel and see all of our latest videos, which is Grumpy Gamers Podcast. But remember that we'll have our bonus podcast out on the feed this Friday, so look out for that one popping up. And check out Mr. Boomstick because he was
for sure.
He was we're thankful to him for having us on the show last week. So
and it was
and
a
Kirk
great
will be
show
back next
around.
week, so he can respond to all your tweets this week.
Kirk is going to come into a storm of Star Wars hatred, isn't he? Just be like, what happened? What
did you do?
Phenomenal. But for this week, it is GG.
GG.
GG.